Welcome back to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services. A leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio, our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at DonahueAccountingService.com. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former Bearcat basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the Hall of Fame coach, Bob Huggins.
And I'm Neil Meyer with the Front Office News.
I'm JT Smith, editor-in-chief of the Front Office News.
All right, fellas, let's jump right into it. The Bearcats have improved to 8-1 after beating Xavier 68-65 in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Shootout. JT, thoughts on the Bearcats' performance?
Man, it was a gritty win. Win that I think wouldn't have happened, in the previous teams, just because everything kind of went wrong for the Bearcats. You know what I mean? Overall, so like you told me before the game that Jizzle James was going to go 0 for 11, I would have been like, it's the Crosstown Shootout, so wacky stuff happens, and that's what we were talking about before. But that's kind of one of the guys I would not have expected to go 0 for, but that's the Crosstown Shootout. CMOS kind of was leading up to him only be able to make 1 3. That was kind of one of those things that I was like, man, the Crosstown Shootout, something crazy would happen like that. And that's why, I went with the pick of, Aziz to be the player to watch. And he actually, he did what I thought he was going to do, just because the Crosstown Shootout is one of those coin flip games. And I thought he played his best game as a Bearcat personally. So I felt good about patting myself on the back on that one. But, it was just one of them gutsy wins, man, where you shoot under 40%, 25% from three, you still win on, at home in a rivalry game where Xavier's, had domination on the series lately. So I'm happy, man. Like I was talking to a few people in the stands. I was like, they just got to win. It don't matter how it looks. It don't have to be pretty. This is one of those ones you just got to, mark, get the dub in your column. And I think the Bearcats have built a lot of equity with that because of that win.
Well, first of all, JT, shout out to you for calling out Aziz on being the player to watch. Good call on that. So we'll mark that down as a victory for you. We're going to see how you do with the Dayton player to watch for the Bearcats. But going back to Jizzle James, he struggled offensively in the basketball. Obviously, Wes being Wes, he rolled with him. He didn't take him out. He didn't sit down and said, this isn't your night. Instead, he said, this is my guy. I'm rolling with him. And as a player at a high level, you love to have a coach that has confidence in you no matter what. But looking at his struggle offensively, what did he finish shooting wise? What was it again?
0 for 11.
0 for 11. What do you attribute that slump that game to? What was wrong with Jizzle?
Honestly, he didn't shoot any bad. Like, he might have shot one bad shot. He shot good shots. Like, people with metrics, they might be like, oh, mid-range shots are bad. But his shots were clean. At least five or six of them hit every part of the rim, but where he needed it to hit. You know what I mean? Like, he just had bad luck. It's a shootout. Like, I'll take the shots he shot all day. Like, if he plays every game and he shoots those type of shots and then they just happen to go in, I'm not going, like, as a person taking a step back, I'm not going to be mad at those shots. Like, he got right point back at the rim, missed a couple mid-range where he got the defender feet backed up, boom, used his body to get separation, clean shots. Those shots you're going to take all day. I just think it was just a wonky shootout. Like, it's going to be – it was equivalent to D. Davis hitting 5 threes.
Yeah.
Just not scoring. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that. And then he makes those 2 big free throws. As bad as he played, like, as far as offensively, because he didn't make the shots. Bad as he played, he came down and made 2 clutch free throws, too. That just shows the kind of toughness this young man has, because normally if somebody's going to offer, even at the line, you're probably going to, split at least. You know what I mean? And he made both of them none but net. So, that's props to him to have those kind of that mental fortitude to be able to be like, I'm not going to let me playing a little bad offensively or not making my shots, not make me make a key play. And he did.
I don't think we'll see another performance like that from Jizzle James. If I'm a betting man, if I'm rest in peace, Pete Rose. If I'm Pete Rose, I'm betting Jizzle will never have another performance like that.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing. I literally told everybody that. People that were like, man, he went 0 for 11. I'm like, look, man, he shot the shots he wanted, and I wouldn't bet that's going to happen again. Like, I'm just keeping it real. Like, that was one of those one-offs, man, and it just happened to happen with Jizzle. But they won. Like, this team was able to absorb Jizzle going 0 for 11 and win the game. I don't care how it looked. I don't care how. There was some couple questionable shots that we took, of course, but they won.
Well, you nailed it on the head, and I was going to get to this in my comments, but I'm going to say it right now because I think you're spot on, JT, and that is you find a way to win.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have grit, and you need games like that where things just don't go right, but yet you get it out and you find a way to win. It's ugly. Nothing goes right. Everybody in the crowd's pissed because guys are missing shots, not doing. But you need games like that where you can show, like, we can still win despite this.
Yep.
I mean, imagine if Jizzle, makes 6 or 7 shots. I mean, you're talking about a different basketball game, right?
For sure. And just think about that. I know not to steal anybody else's thunder. Like, Dan missed a couple layups early, too. Like, it was like, just point-blank layups that, I mean, I would guess, like, he would not miss, you know what I mean, consistently. Then he woke up and he was able to snap out of it. And he made big plays at the end. You know what I mean? So, like, if he just was down on himself on those misses, because those are one of those things, like, you miss a couple wide open layups, you're like, oh, my God. Like, it just kind of, you start thinking too much. And then when it counts again, you probably gonna do the same thing because you're just like, I don't want to mess up. So then you mess up, right? And then, but he didn't do that at the end. I mean, he made some big plays that helped them win as well. So, I mean, we can kind of go by everybody, and then we can talk about the Steady Eddie guys, too, in a second. But I'll let Neil get some thunder on that one.
Yeah, Neil, your thoughts?
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, obviously, the biggest thing that stands out from the Crosstown Shootout was you find a way to win. You shoot 32% from the field, and then you still find a way to win. You don't see those games often, but you need those games early in the season, especially when you play in the Big 12. So overall, I thought that was a great win for the Bearcats there, especially with everything that transpired. And I agree with you guys. You guys aren't going to see Jizzle James go 0 for 11 anytime throughout his career down the road. I don't think we see that happen again. But what was unique about that aspect was he did not change the way he played at all, despite when he started maybe 0 for 5 to 0 for 7 or 0 for 9. His approach didn't change. And that was the thing that stood out the most, was because if his approach changes and he maybe goes quiet a little bit and wants to just go from straight facilitator to straight attacking and get into those open looks, might kind of mess with people a little bit. And people don't really see that aspect of things, but he continued to be himself. And that's ultimately led to a Bearcats victory, because I can tell you right now, if I'm 0 for 11, and like JT mentioned, I'm going to the foul line, I'm not missing one. I'm probably missing both. But he made both of them to kind of secure the deal there for Cincinnati. But the biggest thing that stood out to me about the Crosstown Shootout was 2 things. Dan Skilling's defense on Ryan Conwell was terrific in this game. And obviously everyone's going to say, oh, well, he fouled the 4-point play, that kind of thing late in the game. But Dan Skilling's really made Ryan Conwell work on Saturday. And this was a guy who has lit the Bearcats up in the past. But overall, I thought Dan Skilling's defense had a bigger impact on this game, along with Connor Hickman, too. Connor Hickman's impact on this game, his first Crosstown Shootout, I thought he really stepped up to the moment. He had the 2 clutch threes that kind of sealed some momentum. Then he had the huge defensive stand as well that forced the Xavier turnover to kind of spark that run. But the biggest thing that stood out to me in this game, guys, was Aziz Bandego. JT said it. I thought this was his best game of his season, maybe of his career. But you kind of knew what this game was going to be like when you see a 7'1" forward go 4 rows over the stands to save a loose ball that kicks it out and results in an open 3 for Day Thomas. Guys, you don't see any other 7-footer jumping 4 rows into the stands, especially in the Xavier game, to save a loose ball. I thought when he did that, it kind of sparked a lot of different things for Cincinnati. They were like, okay, Aziz is out here laying it all on the line. He's only been in this rivalry for 2 years, but he embraces and he sees what this game, this atmosphere, this whole rivalry means for the University of Cincinnati. And once they started to get him going on the offensive end and really kind of allow things to open up there, it was a whole different ballgame. Once you get Aziz going, obviously he probably could have finished with a couple more points there, but overall, I thought it was a huge day for Aziz Bandaogo. A season high 31 minutes as well, and it's also worth noting our good friend Ryan Roberts pointed out that Cincinnati is 11-1 when Aziz Bandaogo plays 30-plus minutes in a game.
Wow. And, Neil, stand on Aziz right now. And again, shout out JT for that call on Aziz being the guy to watch.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that, you think about this Bearcat roster and all our weapons, who would have thought our best offense at times is the lob? Like, that's our best offense. I think was that our first points we scored? Was the lob?
Yeah. On the first points was the lob, the and-1, Aziz up top for the and-1, and then the second half they started with a lob too, right out of the locker room.
So think about that, right, Neil? So package that. So you got Aziz, the first points, the coming out of halftime, and you've got high flyers on this team. You've got your Skillings, your Mitchells, your Aziz, and that has to be part of your repertoire as an offense. And as they continue to go, it's going to be interesting to see the evolution of this offense as a basketball team as we get into Big 12 play and how that lob becomes so important. That opens up so many things because when you put a defense in kind of a pick and roll situation and you've got guys like I think Jizzle really is starting to get his rhythm throwing those lobs up.
Yeah.
Think about how powerful that's going to be when you put Jizzle in a pick and roll with a Dan Skillings, Aziz, Mitchell, and you've got to guard that lob. You've got to guard Jizzle because he's so creative. And then, boom, you could kick it out to a Hickman, to a Seamas who can knock that three. I'm really looking forward to the evolution of this offense.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take a new turn come Big 12 play, hopefully. So the lob's there. I mean, everyone has noticed it, that the lob has been there over the last few games, but
and they were awful last year at it.
They were awful at it last year. Awful at the lob. But I think that's the unique part of that, Meach, is teams have to focus on 2 or 3 guys this year in the lob game compared to last year with just Aziz.
Yeah.
This year you have to worry about a guy who's in Dylan Mitchell, who's 6'8", 6'9", who's just athletic as can be. And then you have to worry about Aziz. You have to worry about AP. You have to worry about Dan. There's more options in the lob game for Cincinnati this year compared to what it was last season. But speaking of the guys like Dylan Mitchell, what did you guys think of his post-game interview there on the radio? I don't know if Meach saw it.
I was on a flight.
Yeah, so following the game at Xavier, he basically told the ESPN broadcast about the moments this game, said it's the most fun he's had in his college basketball career and that kind of atmosphere. Said Cincinnati lives through this kind of moment, and if they want to come to Cincinnati, they have to run through them. So overall, it was kind of one of those fire me up kind of interviews.
Good. Well, this basketball team should feel like that. They need to walk and talk with confidence. And we talk about how wacky the shootout is, and we're going to talk about Dayton here shortly. But again, you need games like that because as I'm thinking, as you guys are talking, just thinking about the future, the NCAA tournament, right? You have to have some sort of example or examples of games during your regular season that you can copy paste in the NCAA tournament. And I think that's what's hurt the Bearcats in the past, especially being in the AAC, is some of those games just didn't give you what you need to be prepared for the NCAA tournament, right? So you get some of these teams that have all these grind out games where you need to have grit, you need to fight through going 0 for whatever, and you've got that, example, that template there. And when you get an NCAA game, you go, all right, fellas, in a timeout. We've been here before. Remember Xavier? We got to push through, man. Jizzle, I know you're not shooting the ball well. We've been there before. Let's get through it. Now, he's not going to shoot like that again. But, JT, at least you've got an example of that.
Nah, for sure. Nah, it's a mental Rolodex for real. Like, because it's like if you haven't been through it, sometimes as a team, because each team is different, even though you might have similar players, you got to be like, okay, we did this. All right, we stayed together. All right, we shot a little bad, but we still won the game. So then now when they play against, I don't know, let's say Baylor or Kansas. If the game gets tight, they're gonna like, remember we played against Xavier. We've been here before, God, fellas. Let's do the same thing and just persevere through. So it's a lot of good things because I thought Dylan Mitchell had a very good game. It was time where he was the best player on the floor. Dude's explosive off the bounce. He definitely was a difference maker. Z's, I called that one, but I think like CMOS, he had a roller coaster game. Like it was a big roller coaster game. So like first half, I think he might have made one shot. Second half, he finally started going to the paint more. Trying to get the defense to get into the gaps or whatnot. And then he started shooting too many threes at the end a little bit too. So it was like he hit one, then he started feeling it, then he started shooting too many threes, but he made enough plays at the end. There was a couple of threes I wish I could take back if I could like scale back. Like, don't shoot that one. Like when he had Fremantle on him at the end, like spread them out, get to the hole. Like you've been getting to the paint, get there, pause. But take him to the rim. Take Fremantle to the rim, bro. Like at the end of the day, he can't stay in front of you. Like don't bail him out. Like it was a bailout three. Like if you'd have been hot from three, all right, roll with it. But Fremantle get on you, man. Take him to the rim, bro. Like he can't stay in front of you.
Especially being banged up too, because now
he don't know if he's banged up though, Neil. We don't know if he's banged up.
Yeah, that's the thing now. But in the end, there was 50 seconds left on the shot clock, and it was right in front of the logo, and you still had 15 or 16
just
seconds.
Take him to the rim. It don't matter if Fremantle is 3,000% healthy or he's got a bum knee. He doesn't know if he got a bum knee or bum knee or ankle or whatever at the time. Take him to the rack. You letting him off the hook shooting a 25-foot three. Take him to the rack. He can't stay in front of you. Don't bail him out. Make somebody come help, then kick out to the three if that's what you want. But get to the rim. He can't stop you. Especially when that switch happened. When that switch happened, make everybody go flat, hit him with a little whatever, and then get by him. Get by him. Don't bail him out. Not Fremantle. He can't stay in front of you, bro. Like 100 out of 100 times, CMOS is gonna get where he want to go. Fremantle's guarding him. I don't care if he's playing with Dylan Mitchell's knees. He not about to stay in front of him just because he just ain't. It's Fremantle. No disrespect to him, but he can't stay in front of CMOS. That's the only thing I was like, don't bail him out. All right.
Yeah. Well, let me put some closure to this, and then we'll talk about Dayton here. A couple things. One, and Neil, you made this point. I thought Connor Hickman came in and did some good things when we were struggling a little bit. He had 19 minutes, 9 points. He missed the easy layup. He could have had 11 points. But I thought he came in and he provided a spark. He hit a big shot. Honestly, and I text you guys during the game, and I'm watching the game, and I'm so pissed off in that first half, man. And you guys saw my text. I thought we were going to lose that game purely because, and I told you guys this before, Fremantle is tough to guard. Yeah. And I've had several people in the Smith League, the summer league, tell me that about him. He's just awkward with some things, and I mean awkward in a good way, but and he was doing that. I'm not sure what he finished with point wise, but I would 16. Probably guess. What was it?
16.
I mean, how many
of those? I thought it was 18. I thought he had 16 and a half.
18 or 16, but only 2 came in the second half.
Yeah, it should have been 8. It should have been
18. Yeah, 18. He had 16 and a half.
Yeah. And I'm watching first half. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And then another area that we struggle in that I think we've got to clean this up, or we're going to be in trouble in the Big 12, like the high level Big 12 games, and that's that isolation defense. And I thought Sean Miller did a good job of taking the Xavier offense and putting UC in positions where there was kind of that ISO defense. And he was exploiting that in some ways. I thought the pace, it was interesting to watch like Wes and Sean kind of go back and forth with the pace of the game. I kind of wish Wes would have played a little bit faster, in my opinion. Right. I think in a shootout game, and I get what Wes was doing, and I'm not there every day like he is. So sometimes it's tough to criticize a coach with what he knows and he sees. However, I think in a game like that, you just got to sometimes let your players play. Yeah. And right. It's just so wacky. And I was like, push it. And they were slowing it down, getting into some sets. And I just was like, I don't think this is our this is what's gonna go. So that first half, man, I was frustrated, and the people sitting around me heard it. You know, but again, I'm gonna go back to grit, man. Find a way to win despite everything. Just find that grit, right?
No, for sure, man. Because going into the half down one after they were like essentially outplayed Xavier for what 17 of the 20 minutes, and just was like little stuff was adding up, and it's like, man, this ain't good. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't good at all. Like, I'm like, man, because they play 17 of the 20 minutes, the Bearcats are clearly the better team. They just like, it just be like a ball fall off. They like, you know what I mean? They'll go out of bounds. They could have had the ball, get a fast break, and then they tip it in and it goes out of bounds. And you're like, this ain't good. Like, this ain't good at all. Like, it wasn't the effort. It just was just like it just basketball guys wasn't showing them love. And I'm like, oh man, this is a loss. You know what I mean? Like,
well, look, and I'm gonna let you get back to your thing, but I felt the same way. Like, even think about that possession when I don't remember if it was like maybe the part of the first 6 possessions on offense for the Bearcats when Skillings just lost the ball.
Yeah.
Going like out of bounds. I was like, nobody touched it, nothing. I'm like, I'm up there like, not again. No, we can't do this. Come on.
I'm telling you, because that was like one of those ones like, all right, he by himself. You're like, okay, boom, and just like, it was like somebody just blocked it. Like, it was like a ghost came and blocked the ball. Like, you ever seen 6 Man? Remember that movie?
What was it called?
The 6 Man.
No, you know I'm not a big movie guy. So
man, I asked Wes Miller off the record about that. Like, if he's seen that movie before. He's like, yeah, and he started laughing. I was like, did you feel like that's what was going on? Essentially, short story. Kadeem Hardison, who played, you know what Kadeem Hardison is, right?
Different
okay, all right, cool, good. All right, I'm about to say, you say you only watching movies.
I know,
all right, so he was. All right, so he played. It was him and Marlon Wayans essentially. So they brothers, and Kadeem Hardison is like a senior on Washington Huskies. He dies. I forgot how he died or whatever. He dies right before the season or during the season. He's their best player, and everybody's like down. Like, they're trying to build morale, but his ghost is still there. So like, essentially, like, he's playing in the games.
I got you.
Essentially, so like, he's blocking shots. People are shooting stupid shots. He's grabbing it in the air, making the shit go in. Like, like the trajectory of the ball going off. He's just like in the middle of it, just making it go and making people hit threes that are going to be off. It's crazy. So like, people are getting fast breaks and just getting pinned, and they're like, what's going on? It's crazy.
Sounds like a terrible movie, Jason.
It probably is, for real, if I watch it as an adult. But you know what I mean? But essentially, that's what the hell was going on at the shootout.
Yeah.
Like, Xavier had like the ghost of somebody in there, like knocking the ball out of people's hands.
I'm with you, man. I'm like, come on. First half, I'm like, let's not do this. We've got, and I think all 3 of us are in the same boat in that, like, we've got to win this game, right?
Yeah.
We've got the better team. We're at home. We've got to win this game.
Gotta win the game.
Oh, I'm frustrated, but I want to say this, and we'll segue into Dayton. Shout out the crowd, man. Shout out Bearcat Nation. Showed up early, loud, made a difference in the game. And I'm telling you right now, when players start to get down and start to lose a little bit confidence, which happens all the time in sports, if you got that crowd behind you, that really can help boost you up. And I felt like that during the game at times. And for those former players that showed back up, and excuse me if I miss anybody, but obviously Kenyon Martin is that guy, right? Kenyon was in the building. Steve Logan, Corey Blunt, Damon Flint, Sean Myrick. I think Ryan Fletcher was there. Lenny Stokes was there. Did I miss anybody? Do we see anybody else?
Now I can think of off the top of my head.
I think that was the crew there. I could have missed somebody, but how about Corey Blunt after the game running on the court to half court and dancing with the cheerleaders?
Yeah, that was funny.
I called him. I said, bro, that was the most epic. But even better than that picture of Corey Blunt in the locker room where he's just kind of like throwing his head, like pumping the crowd. I was like, Corey, man, that I would have that framed.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow.
Corey was fired up when we had him on the Bearcat Blitz show on Monday. He was fired up.
Oh, I bet. I mean,
I asked him, I was like, Corey, what's your let me get your thoughts on Fremantle talking that trash to Kenyon before the half. And he quote unquote goes, well, he was balling in the first half, but then Aziz started dunking on his ass and put him back in his place. I was like,
well,
all right then.
Kenyon said that he told me after the game that Fremantle wasn't talking to him. He was saying something. Yeah, that's what Kenyon said. Because somebody said something to Kenyon about it, and we were standing there, and Kenyon just kind of laughed. Kenyon was like, he wasn't even talking to me. I don't know. I kind of saw the interaction, and it kind of appeared that way. But
yeah,
and you know how Kenyon is. Kenyon will fight you. So
yeah. I must say I was saying in the press box. I'm like, if he's picking on the wrong dude, you gotta wait till Ken get about 75 before you thinking about barking up that tree.
Yeah,
like, bro, still in shape. You better be nice. You better be Mr. Martin.
Yeah, he's
he wired different. This ain't the new NBA. I mean,
that tells me that Kenyon didn't take it as if Fremantle was talking to him, because I think if he did, Kenyon would have probably made that a little bit of a bigger deal. He would have said something back. You know what I mean? And Kenyon said it to me. He's like, he wasn't talking to me. But hey, listen, I'll leave on this. One, shout out the Bearcat crowd, Bearcat Nation. Shout out all the former players that were in the building. And then thirdly, man, shout out Wes Miller for making this game a big deal. I think in the past, sometimes, you know, we think about the total season, right? The totality of everything. And sometimes you forget how important a game like Xavier is. And if you lose, don't downplay that as like, oh, we lost, we're moving on, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not losing this basketball game. This is an important basketball game. And shout out Wes for relaying that message to the team prior to the shootout, behind closed doors, like, hey, fellas, this is a big deal. That's how Hugs was, man. Like, Xavier week with Hugs, woo-wee. Bro, it was something else. And I'm glad that Wes, has that energy, and I really love that about him. Now, the Bearcats take on Dayton tonight at 8:30 p.m. at the Heritage Bank Center in beautiful downtown Cincinnati. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Now, let's jump into the Big O segment sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. In this segment, we cover players to watch and key matchups. Now, JT, here you go. Can you go 2 for 2? You ready? Who should we look out for from the Bearcats?
All right. So who I'm going with is going back to a familiar face, guys. Guy went 0 for 11 in the shootout. Made 2 big threes. He's going to have a big game against UD. Jizzle James. It's going to bounce back. Pride thing, going 0 for 11. It's kind of a perfect storm. We're going against, good, quick guards. He's a bigger, stronger guy than who's going to be guarding him unless they're going to be switching. I think he's going to be taking advantage, get double digits, have 5, between 4 to 6 assists, few rebounds, be a pest. Key is going to be him staying in front of his matchups. But I think he's going to be able to impose as well on the offensive end and get other people easy shots in himself.
Now, JT, I like that pick because you would think a young man like Jizzle, he took that Xavier game personally.
Yep.
That I'm not going to come out and perform like that ever again. And Neil has said in past podcasts how hard Jizzle James works. That stuff people don't see. Just imagine between that Xavier game and this game tonight, how many shots Jizzle has put up. How much film he's broken down. So I think, and I've got somebody, I picked somebody different, but JT, I think that's a solid pick.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I'm rolling with, man. I think Jizzle that's a one-off game. I think he's going to show everybody tonight that was one-off.
And it's worth noting, too, on Jizzle James, Wes Miller actually said on Tuesday that him and Jizzle watched the whole game versus Xavier together, one-on-one, and broke down every single possession that Jizzle James had the ball. Think about that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, we might have to rethink. I might have to rethink my player to watch after hearing that. Yeah. Jizzle's going to be ready. So, Neil, now on the Dayton side, now I haven't watched Dayton a lot this year. I caught a couple games here and there, but I know they've got some players, man. Who do we need to watch out for from Dayton?
Yeah, but before we get into Dayton, my player to watch for Cincinnati in this matchup is going to be Dillon Mitchell, and the reason why is because the Bearcats have a tough matchup on the interior for Dayton with the likes of Nate Santos and Zed Key. And for those who remember, Zed Key absolutely dominated Cincinnati back in 2022 with Ohio State during the Maui Invitational, where he finished with 18 points, 11 rebounds. I think that's going to be the matchup to watch in this one, is how will a guy like Zed Key, who has been so efficient this season, shoot nearly 65% from the field? Mm-hmm. How is he going to handle arguably the biggest team on the interior that he has played all season? Because look, you got a 6'9" forward who's shooting 65% from the field, but hasn't had to go against the likes of an Aziz Bandago, a Dillon Mitchell, a Dan Skillings. That size to fill the gaps is going to be something that's going to cause a lot of trouble there for Dayton on the interior tonight. So he's a key focus on the interior, but man, Dayton's guard play is elite. Malachi Smith is a guy to keep an eye on. They have 4 guys in double figures, worth noting, one of those being Zed Key. The other 3 are guards Enoch Cheeks. Josh Alexander is in there as well. You have Nate Santos, and then you have Malachi Smith, Nate Santos, Enoch Cheeks, and Zed Key all in double digits. It's going to be interesting to see how does Cincinnati's guards really kind of take away there. And Malachi Smith, guys, 20 assists to 1 turnover over the last 2 games. There's not a better point guard in college basketball putting up those kind of numbers right now, especially when you have 11 assists versus the number 6 team in the country versus Marquette. And that was a huge win for Dayton. So Dayton's coming off 2 huge wins. They get the heart back and forth game versus UNLV as their tune-up game, but they're riding the wave following a win over one of the top 10 teams in the country in Marquette. So Nate Santos made it clear. He kind of gave some bulletin board material for the Bearcats fans this week, saying that he remembers this matchup last year and that he quote-unquote said there was no Cincinnati fans in Heritage Bank Arena. So hopefully that changes tonight. Wes Miller's made his plea to get those guys downtown. It's a neutral site environment, but thinking about it, like Wes Miller made a great point on this matchup too. It's quote-unquote the NCAA committee looks at it as a quote-unquote semi-neutral game. If it's semi-neutral, why was there more Dayton fans than Cincinnati fans in a sense last season? I know it's a funky tip-off time, being 8:30, but it's going to be interesting to see the crowd split tonight. So the crowd's going to have to play a huge favor into this one. But, man, those guards from Dayton are elite, because Cheeks can really alter the game on the offensive rebounding aspect as well. 6'3" point guard, but is averaging nearly 8 rebounds a game. You don't see many point guards averaging 8 rebounds a game nowadays. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Jizzle James steps up on that matchup, or if it's Day Thomas, Connor Hickman, whoever it might be. It's going to be an interesting matchup. But Dayton's point guards are elite and can really, really change the game in different ways. They can score, they can facilitate, they can do just about everything there.
All right, so I do want to talk about that Dayton basketball culture here in a second. But before that, shout out Anthony Grant, Dayton's head coach, great human being. For those that know him, know what his family's been through with having a death in his family and kind of their family's pursuit to really get out there and talk about suicide awareness. And Brandon Seho, I know Brandon Seho, former Channel 5 broadcaster. He's doing a lot in that space, and Brandon's doing an excellent job and doing some great work. And they've partnered with Anthony Grant and his foundation. And so I think they played a game earlier, right? That's part of that whole deal. And so shout out Anthony Grant, but also that culture that's built at Dayton. Have you guys been to a game at Dayton?
It's the scariest place to play in the country.
college basketball game at Dayton. I went last year. I can't remember who they played. So my buddy and I went, and they played somebody that wasn't like, a marquee team. And you would have thought, JT, they were playing Kansas. Like, these people were early, they were loud, they were in their seats way before. And I'm like, what is going? Now, I've been to Dayton games before, but I don't think I've really paid attention to this level. So they have an unbelievable basketball culture, and it doesn't surprise me that they packed the Heritage Bank for this game or any game. But I'm glad that Wes Miller, as you talked about, Neil, really took the Bearcat fans to task, and hey, let's get there. Let's have as many fans and loud, because we've got that culture built here at Cincinnati right now. So let's hope the Bearcat fans show up loud, because they're going to need that against Dayton. But before we get to breakdowns with the game itself, we got to get to breakdown of these crazy names in college basketball. Come on, Neil, you got to do your dance. Hey, Neil, JT, you see this? What was that, Neil? What was that dance called?
I don't got a name for it. You just got to vibe to the name game.
Yeah, something like that. Now listen, there are not a lot of names on this Dayton roster as I'm looking at it right now. One you've already mentioned, which I do want you to say that again just for fun. But we're going to jump into. I'm going to throw a curveball at you with another roster. But just looking at Dayton, let's talk about number 6 again. Say that name.
Enoch Cheeks.
One thing I love about the name game too is I love JT's reaction to some of these names. He's like, "Wow." Number 29.
Number 29. Amel Liang.
Is the T silent?
I think so.
Wow, look how big that E looks in there. The random capital E. Wow, that's impressive. What do you guys think, by the way, too? What do you guys think about the number change this season? I don't think it was in place last year, right, where players can have, pretty much any number they want. Obviously, Connor Hickman's wearing 8. You've got this Emil kid's wearing 29 for Dayton. So you've got kids. What is what's the young man from France we have? He's
65.
Alvin.
Yeah. And it's funny. He got in a game earlier this season. I took a buddy with me that doesn't watch Bearcat basketball like that. He was like, "That guy can't be any good." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Look at this number," and I'm like, "Well, I don't think they." I'd explain to him. I was like, "I don't think they go, hey, he's shitty. Let's give him a shitty number." Like, I don't think it works like that. He's like, "Oh," he's like, "I thought it did." I was like, "Wow."
Nah, I mean, I could see how it can equate to that though. Like, if you don't know, like you're not watching, you're like, "Oh man, his number over 50." Oh no,
he's garbage.
Like, come on, bro. He's talking about 81. He a raw receiver? No, I'm just no, but no.
What do you guys think about the number thing? You like it?
I like it.
Yeah, oh my. Because what you couldn't go over 55 right before, right?
Correct.
Because wasn't it like you only can go from 0 to 5, 10 to 15, 20 to 25, right?
Correct.
And you couldn't be 26 or 27 or anything like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I think I talked to a referee about that one time, and I don't know. It was like it's easier to make the call or something like that. So
yeah, it's like you're signaling with your hands, like
so you're like, I don't know what to do. Don't want to upset. Yeah.
But listen, it's not that difficult. Like,
Oh, it is like.
Yeah. But you know what? I think the cool thing about it, too, is you look at it from a fan base standpoint. Now, that plays into the branding for a player like Connor Hickman's 8, right? So, that's maybe a jersey sale, a T-shirt he could create. It just adds to, I think, more branding stuff for player individuality.
Yeah, for sure. Got more options, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Neil, let's throw a curveball at you. Let's jump out to the West Coast and let's look at San Francisco's roster. Now, historically, when Todd Golden was the head coach of San Francisco, he's now currently the head coach of Florida. When he was there in San Fran, they had so many foreign players. There were names that, wow, we'd have a whole segment just on names alone. But so for this year's San Francisco roster, Neil, let's pull it up. You got it?
Yep.
Number 10.
Number 10 for San Francisco is Saba Gijabaria.
Whoa. Say that last name again. Get you.
Gijabaria.
Get your berry, y'all. Get your berry. All right. Number 12.
Number 12 is Issa Silva.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
Number 14.
Benjamin Abosi.
Say the first one again.
Benjamin Abosi. That's a tough one. That's a Greek first name.
He said, JT Neal said, "Ooh, that's a tough one." What number is he?
14.
14. Yep. Number 21.
Induido Newberry.
Say the first name again. Give me that one more time.
Induido.
Yeah. Induido, my guy. And finally, last, number 35.
Junji Wang.
This is terrible. We gotta stop doing this. But say one more time for me, Neil.
Junji Wang.
Yes. The Big O segment is sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. Hey, Neil, I want to take it back to what you just said. I picked my player to watch to be Dylan Mitchell as well. I think I'm ready for like a big game, Dylan Mitchell breakout game in a big game like Dayton. I just think he's capable of doing so much on the basketball court. I want to see him in a big game just completely show out. And I personally think this could be the game. Now, JT kind of pulled me in the direction of Jizzle, and hearing that he watched a lot of film. I would tend to think Jizzle's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder that game, but that could also open it up for Dylan Mitchell as well. As Jizzle starts to do his thing, they start to focus in on Jizzle, and then Dylan goes off. But I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I truly believe that when we get to the Big 12 play and we get to that middle part of the season and we need a bucket on the road or a big game, I think Dylan Mitchell is going to be one of those elite guys for us.
He did it on Saturday versus Xavier too. People forget about that isolation move where he got downhill and attack that kind of changed the game for Cincinnati in a way too.
No doubt. And I see in the future they've got to have some sets that are well, they've got to do a couple things. I think what happens in basketball, I think you've got to have like 3 sets, right? And 2 of them might just be setting up that third one. And I think that third set is a Dylan Mitchell type of ISO, because you got to remember, the better Dylan Mitchell plays, it just opens it up for so many other players. There's so many weapons on this team, and I just think he's that centerpiece to this team in so many ways to help us get to that next level when we've got big games. So, I'm Neil. I agree with you. I'm rolling with Dylan Mitchell. I'm hoping he has a really, really big game. The Big O segment is sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. Do you have a business that needs better inventory control, production management, or improved accounting control? Outgrown QuickBooks or can't afford NetSuite? Give loyal Bearcat grads Doug and Kathy Jacobs at Smart Dog Solutions a call. They've been in your position and would love to help you solve your problems. They can be contacted at 513-739-9473 or online at smartdog-solutions.com. And by the way, quickly, with Doug and Kathy Jacobs at Smart Dog Solutions, shout out their son, Gavin Jacobs. He is currently a manager on the Bearcat basketball team. Went to Bishop Fenwick. Awesome kid, man. I'm really glad he's working with the basketball team. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. This is the Kenyon segment sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. This is where we cover the keys to the game. JT, what do the Bearcats need to do to win?
Man, rebound. They got to shoot better than they did against Xavier. So 37%, I think, at the end of the game, 25 from three. I say like from three, you want to be around 35% even on a bad night. I'll say 35%. We want to be about 45 from the field. So looking in that range, dominate the glass, and then get some second chance opportunities. Protect the basketball, of course, but I think just shooting better because I don't think they'll be able to win a game if they shoot like they did against Xavier against UD. I think their offense is too potent, and the Bearcats are going to have to fight fire with fire, and then hopefully be able to use their athleticism and stuff to get more stops. But they can't shoot under 40% against Dayton and think they're going to walk away with a win at Heritage Bank Arena tonight.
Totally agree with that, JT. And it's weird. Sometimes you go play in an arena like Heritage Bank, which is different than a lot of arenas you play in, because you look at where the basket is and then the backdrop, right? There are not a lot of courts or arenas like that. It's tough to shoot in places like that.
No, for sure. That depth perception is real. Like, and you're used to like arenas being more built similar to Fifth Third Arena. You know what I mean? And then you go to Heritage. It's going to be different for UD too as well, because the depth perception. But hopefully UC is able to shoot better than the 37% they shot at Fifth Third Arena against Xavier. So because UD is just, I think their offense is pretty damn good. So it's better than Xavier's. No slight to Xavier, but they're gonna have to make some shots, man. Shooting bad against Dayton is not a recipe for success.
Yep. And listen, every game the Bearcats go into, regardless of who they play, I would love to see them blow out the opponent, whoever they're playing. So, Neil, what do the Bearcats need to do to win big versus Dayton?
Yeah, in order for Cincinnati to win big, I think it's easy to chalk up win the battle of the glass. Cincinnati has the clear size advantage in the front court. If they are able to keep Aziz Bandago, AP, Dylan Mitchell out of foul trouble and really change the game and be physical on the boards, if they are able to win the boards, this should help them in many ways. But as JT mentioned, you can't shoot 37% from the field in a matchup versus Dayton, because Dayton is one of the best shooting teams in the country, one of the best offensive teams in the country. I think they're sitting at number 9 total offense in the country right now. They can shoot the ball. They can score the ball. So when you have 4 guys who are shooting 40% from the field, it's going to be difficult. If you can't score the ball yourselves with the team that shoots the ball so well, it's going to be difficult to really defend that, because they're going to hit their shots. They really are. And it's crazy to think about, because this Dayton team's completely different from a season ago, but they haven't missed a beat. So on top of it, they have to win the battle of the glass. You have to limit your turnovers. But physically for Cincinnati, I think the job is to wear Dayton down. You don't want to settle for those shots early in the shot clock or just heat check some threes up there when you're feeling hot. You want to wear this team down, because in the end, Dayton has only played one top 10 opponent this year, or one ranked opponent, and that was Marquette, which they did well against. But I think this is probably their most difficult matchup of the season due to Cincinnati's attributes on the inside, physicality. If Cincinnati can out-physical Dayton, it should be a game where Cincinnati could maybe win by 10 points. And they do that on the boards, that's going to be the 2 things. But you got to play smart. You got to take care of the ball. You can't throw it into the ocean like they did last year, because for those who remember this game last year, Aziz Bandago hurt his back 2 minutes into this game and was not really able to come back from it in this matchup, and they missed that. So it's going to be interesting to see how does Cincinnati handle that kind of pressure this year, especially with the Flyer faithful expecting to travel.
And Neil, by the way, and JT too, chime in. Now we've played a game wearing those black uniforms, the Xavier game, and I meant to bring this up before. What are your guys' thoughts when you saw those black uniforms in person?
I need one.
What number?
I'll go 3.
You're a 3 guy? Okay.
I'm a 3 guy. I can't shoot the 3. I'm going to make that known. I can't shoot the 3, but I'll wear number 3.
Now that intrigues me, Neil. What type of hoop game do you have? Yeah, I want to know. Are you like an Adam Sandler type hooper?
Depends if the backboard's open.
Wow.
If the backboard's going to be open, and that bank shot like he was having in grown-ups, maybe. But I don't play for the bank. If I'm going to play hoops, I ain't using the backboard.
Okay.
But
JT,
it's not a good hoop game. I'll tell you that.
Okay. JT, your thoughts on the black unis?
They fire, man.
Yeah.
Fire. I love them. I'm glad they won, because if they lost in them joints, man, it's gonna get banished. you know how our fan base is. You lose a game. That one where they would have had a rightful reason to be on that type of time, but
yeah,
that man, they would have lost in those. I'm glad they won, because those jerseys I want to see again. Those joints are fire. Yeah, they're fire. I wonder what they're gonna wear for the Dayton game, because they wore different jerseys for the Dayton game last year.
They did. I don't know, but I can give a semi spoiler alert. They do have another alternate uniform, and I think they're gonna bust it out the Kansas game. I do know they have another alternative. I know what it looks like. I know all that.
Man, you gotta share that picture, dude. It won't go online, man. We won't go.
All right, bet.
We won't go. We won't go Barstool. Just send it over. Let a brother see what's going on, man. So we know what's going on. They ain't gonna post it. They ain't gonna just randomly show up online. Like, what? Right. So, because soon you see it online, you gonna blame me.
Yeah. I'm coming at JT. I'm coming at your back. I'm like Kenny Martin. I'm pulling up at.
No, you ain't got to worry, man. It's a safe place. I won't even put it in our message board. Y'all just want to know what's going on.
Hey, we'll make it known, too. We won't share it, Meach, like that video that got leaked to Wes in the locker room.
Oh, man. I know. We talked about that. I saw that video. I think, Neil, you might have shared it first in our group chat. And I'm like, I mean, I love Wes's passion, but I'm like, that doesn't need to get out in the streets. I was like, don't. Front office news, don't post that one. Yeah. Stay out of that business. I'm glad you guys did.
I ain't want to come in there that was pulled to the side. Like, come on, bro.
And they're gonna have a new Derek Jeter rule in that locker room.
Well, I think I think some stuff needs to stay. Right? In the locker room, needs to stay in house. And that's one of those things, because that's an emotional game. And that's what's that?
Yeah, super emotional game, man. It hadn't won. Like, West hasn't won that game. This was a big.
No doubt.
I mean, you could tell how at the presser.
They did.
What's that?
Especially to win the way they did in that aspect, and then to see the emotion after the game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and the thing with the Dayton game is it's a little bit different. I mean, you think about the Xavier game. I think it's more of a natural rivalry with Xavier, just because of the close proximity, the years of playing. Dayton, it's kind of, I think, been off and on with the rivalry. I don't know. They haven't played obviously every year, and it doesn't have that same feel. But Wes had a lot of emotions, and rightfully so. I think he said in the presser, man, he loves living in Cincinnati, and if he didn't win that game, he might get kicked out of the city. So I'm glad they definitely won that game, and he showed that emotion. Like I said before, he treats this like a huge game, and I think that's very important. The Kenyon segment is sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. Now, I just got a couple things I want to bring in for this Dayton game. One, we talked about this before. Bearcat fans, hopefully they show up, are loud, representing. Again, this is another game. We need to get this game. They kicked our ass last year. Neil, you're better at this than I am. 82-68, something like that. I'm kind of going.
Yeah, 82-68.
They kicked our
home. Yeah, it was too much last year for Cincinnati.
I mean, it was terrible. And so the revenge tour. This is the revenge tour. We need to get this basketball game. So neutral site. We talked
about RC Cola, baby. You can't forget the RC Cola when you're talking neutral site now, Meach.
I'm sorry, what?
You can't forget your RC Cola at this neutral site matchup now tonight.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What did I miss? JT, did I miss something?
Heritage Bank Arena is sponsored by RC Cola.
Oh wow, that's still
a thing.
RC Cola's still a thing. Wow,
Yeah.
Still a thing.
I have not seen anybody with like a can of RC Cola in their hand in quite a while.
You might see it tonight.
That's impressive. I didn't know that was still a thing. Well,
Yeah.
I will not have an RC Cola in my hand,
Same.
but for those that do, best of luck with that. good luck. The Kenyon segment Keys to the Game was sponsored by Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota. Come see fellow Bearcat Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota for all your new and pre-owned Toyota needs. Look for Greg Hooden on Instagram and Twitter at Cincy Greg Hooden, and Hooden is spelled Hoodin. Again, look for Greg Hooden on Instagram and Twitter at Cincy Greg Hooden, or come see Greg at Beachmont Toyota. Always ready to help the Bearcat family get into a new Toyota. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Now let's get into the Twyman segment sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. So here's my hot topic. My hot topic for this podcast is this. Kenyon Martin was in the building for the Crosstown Shootout. And, you know, anytime Kenyon comes back, he's royalty. Bearcat fans, the athletic department treat him like royalty, just like he should be treated. And I love that for my former teammate and friend. Also, all the former players that were back in the building, shout out them again. This past, just this season, I'm trying to remember what month it was. The rapper Redman showed up to practice and talked to the players a little bit. Yeah, it's crazy to see Redman in the building. My question for you guys is, what former player, what celebrity or celebs could be on a local to national level would you like to see at a Bearcat basketball game in Fifth Third Arena? Because in my opinion, this team's going to have this city rocking all year long. And you know what that means? When it's rocking, celebrities show up. So JT, I want to start with you. Former player, celebrity, celebs, local, national. Who do you want to see?
All right, mine's easy. Going Nick Van Exel.
Ooh, my favorite.
Yep. So like we already got Kenyon, right? So I'll say Nick Van Exel got to be the guy. I know he still coaches, right? I think he's still assistant coach or the player development person. I think for like
yep.
In Dallas, I think, or something like that.
Not Dallas anymore.
Not in Dallas.
I'm not sure gosh, I should know this.
Yeah, I should know this too. So that's on me for not looking that up. I know he's coaching, so I know it might be a little tough. But if they can get Nick to quick in there one time, that'd be real dope, especially with a good team that they got this year.
For sure. That it?
Let's see. You want to go only one person or go multiple?
You could go celeb. So you did former player, which I like. That's good. Right. Let's talk about a celeb.
All right, celeb.
Could be a local celeb or national celeb.
National. UC got a lot of like Cincinnati has a lot of random ties. I would go with the one that everybody would say, but I'm gonna let that slide. I'm gonna think of something off the curveball on this real quick. I'll get a curveball. Let's see. I feel like I've seen like Timberland at a game before, randomly.
Timberland?
Yeah.
Wow, that's random, bro.
So like, but we was playing his cousin or his nephew or somebody was playing. I forgot who we were playing, but I think it was when Mick was here.
Okay.
And Timberland was like nobody really peeped. It was him. And I remember Ghost was here. I can't remember what year was it. I remember the girls basketball team was going crazy. And it was like Ghost from Power, Amari Hartwick.
Yeah. Okay.
He was there, and the girls basketball team was going crazy. I can't remember what year that was though. So like it'd be random people at UC games for real, like that got names. So I'm gonna say, damn man, I'm messing up the time. My bad, guys. I don't want to go with the one that I think Neil's gonna go with. So I'm trying to be courteous about that. I'm gonna say we gotta get Snoop at one.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that.
Snoop.
I like that.
I'm writing
Snoop.
that shit down.
Snoop, man. All genres. Everybody loves Snoop. I can see Snoop want to see a UC game.
I love that one. That's
Get him some UC gear. Be the new Pac shirt. Be the new Pac picture.
I love that. That's a good one. Neil?
Yeah, so former player for me. Obviously, we see the Kenyon Martins. We see the Steve Logans. All those greats come back. But it would be cool for me in person to see the Big O come back. I know he hasn't been back in a while, but that would be cool for me to see. But then on the celeb aspect, there's two that come to mind. Obviously, you would love to see Drake sitting courtside after he dropped the song Rich Baby Daddy, where he says, I'm wearing red like I'm at a Cincinnati game. It would be cool to see that.
Okay.
But another celeb that might shock you guys that I'm going to say is imagine J. Cole at a Bearcats game.
You said J. Cole?
J. Cole being a hooper. Imagine him sitting courtside in a retro UC jersey.
Yeah, you caught me off guard with that one. I thought you were going different. I thought you were going different. That's why.
Who do you think he was gonna say, JT?
All right, I thought he was gonna say Taylor Swift.
Nah.
Because of the Kelsey connection. I thought that's.
Well, yeah, the Kelsey connection. Yeah, that would be crazy. I mean? But that's the one that everyone's just kind of waiting to happen. I feel like at this point.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go, so I was like,
hey, the moment if that ever happened, Fifth Third Arena would be nothing but the college women going crazy for Taylor Swift. That's what it would be. They'd be like, Taylor's in the building. Oh my God.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
Oh, hold on. Neil, would you do that one more time?
No.
Can we? Hey, JT, when you clip this, can you make sure you clip that part?
I'll see if I can clip it. I don't know if I have enough time today. Today might be rough.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky, Neil.
Yeah, you're real lucky. That's a good one though. I like the J. Cole one. You kind of caught me off guard with that one. I wasn't.
You did.
I wasn't prepared for that one. The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. I'm gonna roll with. You kind of stole it. Nick Van Exel was my favorite Bearcat of all time, and he's really hasn't been back, right?
Yeah.
Enough. And I think it's time we get him back to a Bearcat basketball game and show him that proper respect and treat him like royalty.
For sure.
I think it'd be good to see. I know he just went in the Hall of Fame, but it'd be good to see Sean Kilpatrick back.
Yeah, he was on my list for sure. But that'd be dope for him to come back. Yeah,
for sure. And it'd be cool to have Sean and Gary Clark. Imagine you get both those guys in the building at the same time, because I think Gary is the guy that Bearcat fans just absolutely love, man. When you talk about a guy that left the university, man, is just he embodied the city so much. Just, blue collar dude, didn't talk a lot, just grinded, work hard. Gotta love Gary Clark. So I would say SK and Gary. On a local celebrity level, it's kind of national, but it's local. But I would love to see Joe Burrow and Ellie De La Cruz at a game. Maybe not together, but at some point.
Saying. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because then you capture Joe Burrow's probably the most high profile guy in the city in terms of sports. You guys agree with that? Am I missing?
No, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously Ellie's are, kind of our next, guy in terms of obviously he's super popular now. But I think he's that next level guy, for the city. And so I would love to see Redman and Method Man come to a game and perform at halftime. JT, you like that idea?
That'd be fire. I don't think that. I don't know that like to perform at halftime because they won't get enough time, man.
That's true. That's a good point.
I feel like they too big of acts to do just the 10.
Right.
I'd rather them be almost like the halftime DJs, like or like you know what I mean, or something, or like they just pump the crowd up a little bit because I just think they got too much stuff for 10 minutes.
Or have them as part of the Midnight Madness. Maybe you make a Midnight Madness type of like weekend. So let's say Midnight Madness is on a Friday and then Redman and Method Man have a concert the next day and all that money goes towards NIL.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
You know, Redman's locked in to come back to a game. He's built that rapport with the staff, and you know, him and Method Man are like, you know, thick as
it's like yin and
right?
yang right there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, everybody wants to see Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, so that's kind of the obvious one. I want to throw out. He has Cincinnati ties that I would love to see at a Bearcat game, and that is former President Barack Obama.
Tight.
That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool to see Obama. He loves basketball.
Yep.
Right.
And for sure.
He'd
have hella security because I ain't gonna lie. I had to get a picture with Obama, bro. Like I have to. Like
no question.
I ain't gonna hold you. Like Snoop, I probably would want a picture depending on like where the situation if I had time for sure. But like with Obama, I'll be like, bro, I can't. Like, cause you just never know when you're gonna be. I feel like Snoop is like somebody you might see consistently. Like I don't know why, even though I might be tripping, but I feel like Obama, he just probably just gonna be like, you see him, then he's just like Darkwing Duck cloud smoke.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a great point because I do think Obama is one of those guys, and there are others that it's a once in a lifetime meet. Like you're never gonna be maybe in that type of environment where you can get that close or see Obama. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And he has Cincinnati ties. Like one of his good friends and Michelle's good friend live here in Cincinnati, who I know. And he does sneak in the city.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. So that would be really cool. So I think we got a good list, man. I think some of these could happen. But JT, I love yours. I'd love to see Nick Van Exel in the building at some point soon. And it sounds like Nick and Wes Miller's relationship's pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah, it's always good. And Neil, I do like your J. Cole. I do like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know his tie to Cincinnati other than maybe doing a concert in the area.
Yeah.
You know, that would be. Yeah, I wish we had somebody on the team that was from like his area that like you know what I mean? Like,
put a bird call out.
Yeah. Hey Jermaine, we need you at the game. We need you at the game, man.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah, that'd be super dope. So the Twyman segment was sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. Visionary Cleaners is a locally owned company by former Bearcat student athletes. They specialize in high-quality commercial cleaning of businesses, apartment and pre- and post-construction cleans. They can be reached at 513-388-7816 or contacted online at visionarycleaners.com. And fellas, this concludes another great podcast. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Donahoe Accounting Services, Smart Dog Solutions, Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota, and Visionary Cleaners. And you're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahoe Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahoe Accounting Services, a leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahoe Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at DonahoeAccountingService.com. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast. Go Bearcats.